out and about, people always ask how I come up with recipes and menus. Well, some of it's me and some of it's you. So today, it's dinner by request, a requested stewed chicken dish with a Caribbean kick of heat and sides to cool you down. First, I sear my chicken until golden brown, then simmer it slow and low with hearty chunks of onions, carrots, celery, and apples in a spicy, rich gravy. It's fork tender and served over my coconut rice and peas. It's like a warm hug on a plate. And on the side, my sweet roasted acorn squash is caramelized, tender, and satisfying. So we've got the entire chicken. Now, the giblets, they're gonna go in the gravy. That's the heart, the liver, the gizzards. They'll even throw in the neck, and we're gonna use that as well. So what I'm gonna do now is just wanna wash my hands really quick so we can start building up our Dutch oven. This is gonna be a slow and a low braise on our spicy chicken. And braising really is just slow cooking with a little bit of moisture in the pot so it has a lot of time to become tender. The connective tissue breaks down and everything. Makes for some really good meat. All right, so hands clean. What I want to do now is just start adding some butter and oil to both of my preheated pots here. And what we're going to do is sear off the chicken. About 2 tablespoons of butter in here and about 1 in here. All right, this is going to make our gravy. And then some oil, the BFFs of any pot. They don't allow each other to overheat. Butter and oil. All right, a little in both. And then what I'm gonna do is just season my chicken parts really quick. Let me get a tong out since I washed my hands already. Don't feel like doing that twice. Just a little salt and pepper is all we need on here. And when we put it into sear, yes, we're gonna cook this for a couple of hours, slow and low. But the reason we sear is to get like a really pretty crust on the chicken. And the reason I took the skin off is because, yeah, when we sear it, it's gonna be crispy. But after it sits in that pot for a couple of hours, it's not gonna be what you wanna eat. It'll be kind of gummy and everything. So save the skin for frying. All right, little salt and pepper on both sides. A little salt right there, and then some pepper. Yeah, I thought it was really cool when I did a radio interview just recently with Wendy Williams, very popular radio and television host here in New York City. And naturally, she did call-ins. And someone called in and they were like, yeah, Sonny, I want to know if you can make oxtails. And I was so hype because I'd just done oxtails even though the show hadn't aired yet. So I felt really good about that. And I was like, yeah, no problem. I've got oxtails. They're on the way. And then she says to me and Wendy, well, okay, you're doing oxtails. What about some stewed chicken? I was silent. I was like, I'm not serving the people. So immediately I went home and I said, I'm gonna work up a recipe for you. So this is your stewed chicken by request. Didn't even get your name that day, but hopefully you're seeing this and you'll work it into your menu at home. All right, so all 8 pieces in of our entire chicken. It's gonna be so good. Any meal that you wait a couple of hours for is bound to be good, right? All right, so those are in. We're gonna let those sear on both sides. It's gonna take about 8 minutes for it to be completely done. In here, I wanna go ahead and add my giblets. Giblets, like I said before, is gonna be the heart, the liver, and the gizzards. A lot of people in the South like frying gizzards. I do. Don't fry them too long, they'll get tough. And I really like it, not too many like fried gizzards, so when people come over and you're doing something like this and you say to someone you want the fried gizzards, you don't have to really fight for it like the chicken breasts. All right, so those are in. We're gonna let those brown a little bit. I'm gonna move all of this over here. It's all dirty and yucky. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some veggies out. This is gonna be the flavoring and the base for our spicy braised chicken. Got my celery, some carrots, and the habanero peppers. These are my best friends. I love them. They add so much heat. All right, little trick, put up a paper towel to make it stick to your board so it doesn't move around when you're cutting. All right, so got those. What I wanna get now is my onions. Getting 2 onions, one's gonna go into our Dutch oven with our chicken, and the other one, half is gonna go in the gravy, the other half is gonna go into our rice. All right, bowls, and get my little paring and my cutting down stuff. All right, here we go. right, so we've got all the veggies broken down. Time for some fruit. Now, I hope you notice the carrots, they're not too small, so they'll mush up, and not so big that we can't eat them. Make sure that they're bite size. And this apple, just like my cider brined fried chicken, boy, do I love the sweetness of an apple on chicken. So, got one Granny Smith. We're just gonna go ahead and cut into 8s, and then just cut the center out so there are no seeds going down in the pot. And that's gonna go right in with the onions, the celery, the carrots, everything. It's gonna be so good. Let me tell you, after this sits on the stove for a couple of hours, the light sweetness that this imparts on the chicken, you're gonna love. All right, so no seed there. Get this out, cut this out here. This is perfect, especially for like the cold winter months. Put something in a pot and just let it go. All right, a couple of cloves of garlic are gonna go in. You don't have to worry about chopping these up. Just get the chaff or the skin off, smash it, and get it right in with the vegetables as well. You know I love garlic. I was 2 days away from the Gilroy Garlic Festival this year. Hopefully next year I'll get there on time. I love garlic. Would be like me to show up a day late and $1 short. All right, so garlic goes in here. Now remember the heat I was telling you about, the habanero, just gonna cut the top off. And this is so hot, it goes in whole. Do not cut it up. All right, so now let's check on our chicken. Look at that. So remember, we're just gonna sear both sides. This is gonna cook for a couple of hours. The idea of the searing, get a beautiful color. Look at it. And then keep the juices in as well. All right, so I'm gonna flip these over. Take a look at the giblets, turn those over as well. I'm removing my seared chicken parts out of the Dutch oven. We've got the olive oil and the butter in there, and of course, all the great grease and fat from the chicken. And to that, I'm gonna add everything I chopped up, the apples, the onions, the celery, the carrots, and don't forget the heat from the habanero, but that's not chopped up, it's in there whole. That's how potent it is. All right, and then to the giblets. Remember the gizzards, the liver, the heart, even the neck, I threw that in. About half of our onion goes in there. And what we're gonna do is just work on getting these nice and tender in both of our pots so they impart some really good flavor in both the gravy and in the spiced braised chicken. All right, that's in there. What I wanna do is now add a couple of bay leaves. This is great when you're doing any slow and low cooking because it's gonna take some time to get all the flavor out of the bay leaves. So 2 of those go in. Pull them out at the last second. And then some thyme. Just take a couple of sprigs of it and wrap it up in some kitchen twine. All right, that goes in. Got this working around. What I'm gonna do now is get everything that we're gonna build up our roasted acorn squash with. So that's some brown sugar, some raw cane, some nutmeg, and this chicken stock is for our spicy braised chicken in a second. So everything down. What I'm gonna do is get my acorn squash and start to get it ready. Put it right here. Now the good thing about acorn squash, it's perfect for the winter months. So good, sweet, and it's gonna go great with all the spice that we're about to do with the spicy braised chicken. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna half these, take the seeds out, and to it add the brown sugar, the butter, and the nutmeg and get it in the oven. All right, so now I've got my tablespoon of butter in each of these, a tablespoon and a little bit more of brown sugar, and the nutmeg over the top. When this cooks and comes out, it's gonna be so beautiful, caramelized and brown. This is a 450-degree oven here, and it's gonna be for about an hour, depending on the season and your acorn squash. Just a little note, the oranger the flesh, the sweeter the acorn squash, so you can go ahead and work out your sugar content with that. All right, so this looks like it's ready for some wine, just about a cup. We're gonna deglaze and get all those nice bits off the bottom. It's gonna add the flavor to our gravy later. Look at that. Get a little steam facial. Let the thyme work in there as well. And then to this, our onions and our giblets, I'm gonna add just a little bit of flour that's gonna help us make the gravy later. What I'm gonna do is cook it down so we don't taste the flour in it. That's a little trick right there. You ever have gravy and it tastes floury? That just didn't cook it long enough, all right? So maybe 3 to 4 tablespoons of flour going in here with the giblets and the onions. We're gonna work that out for a couple of minutes and turn that into gravy in a second. Now, remember I was talking about the acorn squash going into the oven? That's gonna be for about an hour, but throughout that hour, we're gonna baste it because that brown sugar and the butter is gonna melt in the center. You just scoop it out and drizzle it over the edges. And then I got some raw cane sugar. We're gonna sprinkle on about 10 minutes out. I love the way it crunches. The texture is what it's all about there. And of course, the sweetness, but the brown sugar's there already. All right, so we've got the flour in. I'm gonna turn this up and let it cook down a little bit. Just putting our seared chicken right back in the Dutch oven that we added the wine to right before we left. And of course, don't forget, we've got the onions, the celery, the carrots for sweetness, and the apples for sweetness, and the habanero peppers in there as well. Now the chicken's back in. All I gotta do now to finish this off is add some chicken stock. And we don't wanna cover it because we wanna braise this, which is low moisture. Don't cover the meat. So just have the chicken peeking out over the top, about 2 cups, depending really on the size of your Dutch oven. All right, that looks good right there. All right, so what I want to do is make sure this is a nice little simmer, cover it up, and this sits for almost about 2 hours until the meat is just falling off the bones. Now, the rest of the chicken stock is going to go in with the giblets, the flour that we cooked down with the onions, and this is going to be the base of our gravy. And speaking of gravy, before we move on, I got to tell you about a little cook's secret. It's the gravy master. I'm gonna add this into the pot really quick. Now, just a little bit goes a long way. It's gonna add flavor, body, color, everything you want to your gravy without all that roux making. That takes time. All right, so pour that right in. I'm gonna swish that around a little bit, get it all mixed in, because I really, really love a dark colored gravy. And a lot of Caribbean meals, like stewed chicken, the gravy's not only nice and dark, but the flavor's robust, and that's really gonna help us out there. All right, so cover that up, like I said, a little more than an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. We've got the chicken stock in here, working with the onions, the flour, the giblets. That's gonna thicken up and create a really nice base for our gravy. Now back here, remember I told you we're gonna have the rice and peas, which is always by request. People always wanna know how to make the perfect rice. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some olive oil in. Then I'm gonna add these onions, gonna build some flavor for us. Onions all over this meal. This is dinner by request. You know, I got this from someone calling into a radio show and asking for me to make it, but you've got family members and friends, go ahead and ask them what they like to eat. And you can have your own dinner by request. All right, I'm just gonna pour some rice in. Don't worry about measuring the rice. I'm gonna show you how to measure the water in just a minute. But the rice goes in now with the onions and the olive oil, because what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna build some flavor. Plus the olive oil, when it toasts the rice and you get it to coat every single grain, you find when you're done cooking this that the rice fluffs nicely, pulls apart, it's not sticky. It's gonna be really good. So just let the rice toast for a second there, and in the meantime, we can check on the acorn squash. All right, remember these? We just halved 2 of them. It's perfect for a family of 4. You put a tablespoon of butter in each, a tablespoon of brown sugar, do a little nutmeg over the top, and it's good to go. Just about halfway through, just gonna get the little liquid, the juices out, so sweet, and baste it. Just kind of go around the edges there. And the reason why we're going to go around the edges, too, is we want something to stick to it in a second, and that's going to be our raw cane sugar or turbinado sugar. Same difference, same thing. It's going to be so good, because I like the texture on this when you put it back in for about 10, 15 more minutes, and you've got the sugar on the edges. When you crack into it, it's crunch, crunch, crunch. All right, so it's all about the texture here. Just sprinkle it right over the edges. And don't put this in the very beginning if you're thinking you want to do a little shortcut, because it'll just melt away with the 450-degree heat you put it in for an hour. So right at the very end, just sprinkle it right over the top. Put the rest of the sugar right in the center. It's a nice sweet addition to the spice that we're going to have a little bit later on. All right, so back in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. Now what I want to do is go ahead and start building our rice and pigeon peas, and it's coconut rice and pigeon peas. So about half a cup of our coconut milk going in. You can get that in the can in your grocery store, real easy to find. And what we want to do is go ahead and get that working. So we'll turn it up. And to this, I'm just gonna add some water. Now remember I told you I always get people asking me, how do you make the perfect rice? Okay, well, you start by toasting it off. You can also rinse off the starch as well. But the way to make sure it's super perfect is the amount of water. You don't want it soggy, you don't want it hard and al dente. Who heard of al dente rice? So what I like to do is pour the water in, and as soon as it starts to kind of reach the top of the rice, that's when I start to measure. And I measure with my finger. So what I'll do is I'll put my thumb in. All right, put your thumb there. Now I can feel the rice, and halfway up my thumb, that's where the liquid stops. It's good to go and it's perfect. So now what I want to do is bring this up to a nice little boil. As soon as it gets there, I'm going to cover it, let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then I'm going to fluff it, and it's going to be really great. All right, just straining my pigeon peas here. I'm going to add to the coconut rice and peas. Now remember, this is that perfect rice that we went ahead and we toasted with the olive oil, the onions to build some flavor. We put that coconut milk in. It's going to add some sweetness and make us feel like we're on the islands. And now all I'm going to do is just add these in and fluff away. This is going to be so good. This is perfectly cooked. That olive oil really helps encapsulate and coat every single grain of rice. Really helps everything fluff up nice for us. Let me give this a taste and see if it needs any salt and pepper. Not really. That coconut milk really does a lot of flavor for you. So you might find yourself not really needing to add a lot of salt or pepper to this. So just going to get this onto our platter here. Look at that, right in the center. A little family-style serving. Let everyone have at it and enjoy the masterpiece as well. All right, put that right there. Now to our chicken. Now remember, we've got the spicy braised chicken going on in the Dutch oven, and then the giblet gravy going on over here. I'm gonna give this a taste as well and see if it needs any salt and pepper. Oh, it definitely needs some salt, as do most gravies. If it doesn't taste right, probably missing some salt. And don't worry about the amount of salt we're putting into this small pot right here, because it's gonna be added to this huge pot of our spicy braised chicken. Remember the carrots, the onions, the apples. Yeah, when's the last time you put apples into a stew? It's gonna give a really nice sweet taste along with the carrots, and that habanero pepper that we put in there as well. Gonna add a little kick. All right, so we've got our gravy nice and salt and peppered up. What I'm gonna do is just take the liquid. We do not care about the solids or the giblets and the onions. We just want the flavor. So just go ahead and strain it through the top. Ooh, this smells so good. Yeah, dinner by request / comfort meal. This is gonna be so comforting. Get on the couch and watch TV. All right, so this goes in here. And just stir in the gravy a little bit and plate it up. That's beautiful. You're really gonna love this recipe. You gotta give it a try. And thank you so much for the request. You can have dinner by request any night of the week at your home. Just ask people what they want and deliver. All right, so let me get a spoon out, get this onto our platter. Look at that. Look at the color on that chicken. And speaking of color, oh, look at our acorn squash. Remember, we took it out about 10, 15 minutes before it was done, sprinkled over the turbinado sugar for some crunchy around the edge. It's so nice and caramelized. Makes you want to take a bite of it first. Feels like you're cheating and you're having dessert. All right, this is an entire chicken. I cut the white meat or the breasts in half so people don't fight over it, but you got the lovely dark meat in there. Look at our thyme all twined up. Look at that. Everyone is gonna be happy with this meal. All right, let me get it all on my plate. A little acorn squash. Then let me get some rice. And by request, our stewed or our spicy braised chicken. Look at that. Whew. Give this a taste. Look at that meat, it's just gonna fall off the bone. Oh, I can still taste the wine too. This is really good. Give these recipes a try. I hope you like them and your family likes them as well. See you next time. I'm gonna start with 2.5 pounds of ground pork. Love me some pork. Curry powder, because it's great in this burger. Some ground coriander and some Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce is great because it's got so many things in it. You don't have to add anything but this. And then the coriander, man, does it have a flavorful bouquet of scent. It is just perfect with pork because pork really does need some help. All right, so I'm gonna get this in here. I am a burger person. My first job was at a burger spot. I was a car hop. You know, you put on the roller skates and you roll out to the car and ask them what they want to eat and you put it on their windowsill there. All right, so we're gonna get the pork in, right there. And I'm gonna put my green onions, maybe 2 or 3 of them. Chop them up, put them in. We've got 2 cloves of garlic. And now, I know we're not baking, but I'm going to measure all of our spices that are gonna go in. I've got one pork hand right here that are gonna go into our pork burger. All right, so we're gonna start with our curry powder. A lot of times when you do Indian cooking, you're gonna see the curry powder, and its friend or its family member, to me at least, is gonna be the coriander that we're gonna put in next. So 2 teaspoons of curry powder. And be exact, man, let me tell you, every single spice works. It's like a symphony, you know, in your mouth. They're working together. All right, so we've got 2 teaspoons of that. We're gonna do a teaspoon of our coriander. Come over here, guy. And, it's so good, it really is. And some cayenne pepper. You know I like the heat. Okay, so we're gonna do a teaspoon of that. And you know what? Some Worcestershire sauce is gonna go with that. Like I said, so many things go into Worcestershire sauce. It's gonna taste great. 1 teaspoon of that. All right, so now we're gonna add a lot of salt because pork needs some help. And some freshly ground black pepper. All right, everything's in the bowl. I am going to make these into patties going on the plate in the fridge and later in the pan for our pork burgers. Gonna get my oil on. All right, get these in. A nice sear so the moisture will stay in, because you know, pork needs a lot of moisture. All right, couple of buns. Look at this baby here. I'm gonna put these over here to sit for 3 guests, or my seconds and thirds and fourths. And then get one onto my bun and just start building my burger. Look at that. I'm gonna put on top of that our big old chunk of tomato. Look at that tomato. If I knew the tomato was this big, I'd make the patty a bit bigger so it wouldn't look like so totally eclipsed. All right, and a couple of pieces of our lettuce. And last, but definitely not least, this is what we're painting with today, man. It's our spicy ketchup. To this, remember the garlic, the crushed red pepper, the green onions. I mean, this flavor is just gonna pop in your mouth. And the cayenne pepper. This is really good. You could do so many things with this, but today on our masterpiece. And I push it down. Don't slide off on me, baby. I'm gonna take a bite. Feels like a Dagwood. I got through all layers. This is really good. Curry pork burgers with spicy ketchup. It's a banging burger that's curry in a hurry.
All right, so we're going to go global with my very Peri chicken, inspired by Peri chicken. Ooh. Now, it's a dish that has roots in South Africa, Portugal, and the first thing we need to do is make the sauce. So the very Peri sauce is like a peri sauce. We're using African bird chilies. You can use Thai bird chilies. We're also using some red jalapeno, yellow bell or orange bell pepper, red bell pepper, some tomatoes, and some red onions. Now, here's the deal, and some garlic. no oil, all right? It's just like a dry char like I did the green beans that one time. I really like doing a dry char because it gets all the flavor. Plus, when you do an oil on a sauce, it doesn't stay outside the fridge or in the fridge well. When you put it in the fridge, it coagulates all the fat and everything. So don't put the oil in the sauce, and you're sure to have something that you can blitz up and use everywhere. So I'm just getting everything in, stems included, all right? Because they'll all blitz down, no big deal. All right, so I got those off. I'm just gonna get these on. It's a lot faster with my hands. And then just skin side down. And this is over direct heat, so we're going for char. So this is like really, really quick. Get these on here.
I love your implementation of the upside down cooling rack, essentially, directly on the grill.
If you can see
bits.
it.
Doesn't fall through.
Right here, this is just a cooling rack. You put it upside down so you have a little bit of something to hang on to.
You could put cast iron too, right? And just sear it in cast iron.
You totally could. And, you know, I've adapted this from inside in the oven, so if you're staycationing and you don't want to get outside, you can also roast this in the oven at like 425.
That's deep staycation when you don't even leave your home.
Deep, deep, deep. All right, so everything is on. It's gonna get nice and charred, just like this. I'm gonna show you how you finish this off. So after everything is charred and in your pot, you wanna add to it some liquid. So we've got some apple cider vinegar.
Must.
Gotta have it. So good in that marinade, too. Really makes it zing.
This is called, another name for this is Portuguese chicken.
Yeah, I mean, it has its roots in Portugal. And when I went to South Africa, I had it at a chain there, and they served it with pop. Pop is like stiff grits. It's the best way to describe it. It's just stiff grits. And they use it to kind of like eat up all of the sauces and all the really spicy things because you know it takes down the spice. So already in my pot were the tomatoes that I charred, added the onions, the bell pepper, garlic went in, apple cider vinegar. Don't forget those peppers, the red bell pepper and everything. Now what you're gonna do is just add the liquid to the level and no further.
Wow, and that was brown sugar you just put in.
Yep, a little bit of brown sugar went in just for a little bit of sweetness. Yeah.
Be great on anything.
So simple. You could also do this on like fish, exactly. Brush it on vegetables.
Branzino.
So Jeezy, I'm gonna bring this to you here.
What would you like me to do?
This isn't done right now. Just blitz it in parts because it's still a little bit warm and then sieve it out.
Okay, see,
Yeah,
just
you
like
got that?
That looks great. You see that?
So simple to do.
Simple.
So what you want to do is, before you get to the blitzing station, make sure that you cook it down a little bit. The water's going to evaporate by about half, and the water becomes like a dark color as well, so you know it's got that flavor of everything that roasted. While Jeezy's blitzing, I'm going to show you what it comes out like right this. We're going to use about half of it. Now, the chicken that I'm using today is bone-in, skin off, thighs, legs, and a couple of chicken breasts that I cut in half. For the people that want the white meat, but this is all about the dark meat. You know what I mean?
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But you're staycationing, you gotta take care of whoever is at home with you. So.
Is the skinless chicken traditional to the Peri Peri?
I've always had it skinless, but I'm sure someone out there is like, oh, we gotta have it skin on, you know what I mean?
You want some salt and pepper in this?
Yeah, you can add a little bit of salt and pepper in there to season it up. So you're just gonna do this, mix it around in a sealable bag, put this room temperature, 1 to 2 hours, no longer than that. We've got in a cooler back here, really because outdoors is not room temp. I'm gonna bring it forward, and the next step is to dry everything off. Because we wanna get it onto the grill, but we don't want to start getting all of those sugars caramelized right from the beginning.
I got a fun fact for you guys. You know that peppers get spicier in the summer?
No.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah?
The heat in the sun and the dry heat actually makes the peppers produce more capsaicin. So, so things start activating, obviously, in the sun and the heat. But we got a couple different peppers right here. Sonny, I believe you're using the one kind of lower on the scale here, but still pretty spicy
Red jalapenos, yeah.
And then you're using the bird's eye chilies, too, or the African chilies. So those are the hottest of the group here. So from jalapenos, you go to serrano, which are these long little kind of dark green chilies used in a lot of Mexican cooking. And then, of course, the habanero. Very popular.
Yeah.
Very famous.
Hot and spicy.
Very, very spicy.
Which
but
actually
great
has a flavor profile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think this has got like the fruitiest flavor out of all of them. And then these little guys, don't think just because they're litter, they're not packing a punch. These pack quite a punch. So if you want to experiment with all these in your marinades, in your peri-peri sauce, you know, start low, taste as you go, taste that marinade, especially before you add your chicken to it. So taste as you go. Make sure it's up to your spice preference.
All right, I'm just getting the chicken over direct heat. I'm gonna char it first, but I like to go slick side down. So slick side down, we're gonna start over the char, and then we're gonna flip it over to indirect heat when we get that chance. All right, so I have some started already over here. And they've been going for a minute.
Spin the globe on that one.
So these started off on the direct heat, moved them over to indirect heat to kind of finish the inside cooking. The last 5 to 10 minutes or so, that's when you're gonna hit them with the brush and get them a nice lather of that sauce that we made beforehand. You know, if you're gonna eat with your hands, you should be licking your fingers, so make it nice and sticky. Get this over here. Ready to go for
At first I was like, wow, why isn't she just leaving the skin on? But now I see it's all evenly caramelized. And then not just the skin that's caramelized, but the meat itself.
Yeah, you know, you want it nice and sweet, charred. You don't want any, like, gummy skin. You want it to really kind of, like, be nice and crisp also. And there's a chance to make it crisp.
And this is the pop you're talking about?
Yeah, so this is just my kind of version of it, actually. But yeah, so you get the polenta in a tube, just slice it, olive oil, salt, and pepper, get it on the grill, flip it so you can get those grill marks.
Yeah.
There you go. And it's kind of like pop, my very Peri spicy chicken. Yes, please.
I was gonna say I want a thigh, but it's all thigh, all the time.
Get a little piece of polenta. If it's too spicy, it'll kind of take that spice down.
Get it right in here.
You want some, Jeff?
I'll have some after he's done. He's eating on the...
Yeah? Yeah?
So rich, so deep. That's such a simple little twist with the peppers.
Thank you.
But it's robust. Every single pepper you taste, it's just spicy enough, just to the edge. Chicken's perfectly cooked, and I'm going in for the polenta.
I'm just starting right now on my mega meatballs. They're mega because I'm using 2 pounds of meat. I've got some ground pork right here, and we're only gonna make 8 meatballs out of it. So it's gonna kind of be like quarter-pounder meatballs. But it's not gonna be like a burger because I don't just have beef, but I've got the ground pork, and my beef is ground round. Now, it's not the 80-20 ground chuck, a little less expensive, which is great, and it's a little bit more lean, if you kind of look at it right now, less white fat, more red meat, and it's about 85-15, perfect for the meatballs. It's gonna still maintain its moisture. It's just gonna make it all nice and meaty for your guy or your chick. All right, so some parsley is gonna go in. A nice little snatch off the bunch. And then I've got a lot of garlic over here. Now, if you're having someone come over, I say this is the way to phone it in. You can totally go get the garlic. It's like pre-chopped in the jar and pull some out because we're using a lot. All right, in here, just a little bit of garlic, maybe a little bit more. And then I'm gonna get in some Parmesan and some breadcrumbs. The Parmesan is really good adding some salt content. Plus, I like to think about it when it cooks, it melts slightly and it's gonna help be a little bit of a glue, but we're gonna add some binding agents in a quick second. And then some plain breadcrumbs. I already put some parsley in. No need for the Italian breadcrumbs or anything like that. You can make it your own. Right into the bowl. And then to add a little bit more flavor, some onion powder is gonna go in as well. And then I'm gonna add in some dry rubbed sage. Let me tell you, I love sage. I love nothing more than having some leftover beef and seasoning it up for the next morning so I can have some sausage. And this is the first thing I go to is sage. Just rub it a little bit, bring it back to life, and get it right into the bowl. A little bit of salt, a nice little bit. I always say about a teaspoon of salt per pound, so 2 nice heavy pinches, but not so much because you're thinking about the Parmesan that's in there. A little bit of black pepper. A couple of eggs are gonna go in. They're gonna really help pull this all together so your meatballs don't fall apart and become ground beef and pork in your pan. Really quick, get my whisk here and whisk it together. You know, I'm making mega ones, you know, 8 out of 2 pounds. But if you have a lot of time on your hands, you can always go ahead and make those little teeny weeny ones. Those are cute too, but you know, I'm having a guy over and it's really nice. I love to kind of like make their eyes pop, you know, when they see things. And a big old meatball or two over a bowl of spaghetti with homemade marinara sauce is where it's at. All right, so now it's time to work on my meatballs. Just gonna go in here, make a dividing line, and then another dividing line, and that cuts it into 4, and so I know each of these sections is gonna make 2. Let me roll one out right now. Perfect. All right, this is my perfect meatball. Gonna get it right into my pan here. Let me just finish all the rest. All right, so now let me show you what I'm looking for here on my meatball. This is good. This is really good. Time to turn, time to turn. So just give it a nice little nudge over. Check the bottom. This is gonna be so good. So I'm gonna make my spicy spaghetti sauce right here. I've got my pan, I'm gonna preheat it, a little bit of olive oil in, and then half of a green bell pepper. And then I'm gonna get in half of my onion here. You can use a sweet onion or a Spanish onion, either works. I just love sweet onions. Right into my pan to sweat. All right, let me go ahead and season this up. A little bit of salt so it can sweat out nicely. I'm not going for color here, I'm just going for a nice translucent onion. Move this around. Let me get some garlic in here as well. All right, so I'm just gonna move these around. Remember, nice medium low, just going for translucent. My oven is preheated to 350 degrees. It's only gonna take about 15 minutes more for them to get to the completely done mark. It'll be nice and moist on the inside. It's a good time to just start adding some flavor to my sweated onions and my green bell pepper. Just a little bit of olive oil and salt. And now I'm adding some dried oregano to the mix. This is the dry heat. Kind of think about Arizona or Vegas, Nevada. And this is the wet heat here, my hot sauce, kind of like Miami or New Orleans. It's so, so hot and humid down there. All right, now a full can of whole tomatoes in their juices right into your pan. And I'm gonna break it up with my wooden spatula here. I'm gonna turn this up, and this is it. I'm gonna let this kind of simmer and bubble, and all the flavors are gonna come together. Look at that. Nice and chunky.
Easy grilled cauliflower with my pop sauce. First, we're gonna start with the cauliflower. I've got the entire head, trimmed the little green leaves off, flatten the bottom so it kind of sits just like that. And I like to keep it together because it makes it easy to season. You know, every once in a while when I find cauliflower in the bag where there's florets and it's on sale, yeah, I'll get it. But then when I put it in the bowl to olive oil it and everything, I feel like the olive oil just ends up on the bowl and not on the actual cauliflower. So this way, if you keep the head completely together, you can kind of say, yeah, I know I got the olive oil on the florets, not on the stems or hanging out on the bowl. All right, so 360 degrees of love. And then I'm gonna come in and season it with some salt and kind of throw it at the side there, kind of like, hey, 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 hey. And then hit it with some black pepper. And usually I say boulders, but it's okay to get that pepper snow for this so it kind of adheres and sticks and stays on. And then for a little bit of smoky heat, because we are talking about spice today, some hot Hungarian paprika. Just kind of sprinkle it high. The lower you go, the more direct it will be. And then also to taste. So I've got my grill set at 400 degrees. I'm gonna get this right over the indirect heat. So that means if your grill is lit on the left side, you're gonna put it on the right side and vice versa.
Sonny, you're doing that cauliflower with that pop sauce. People are using this pop sauce on everything, right?
Yes, you know, obviously it's shrimp is probably the first place people had it. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to make this pop sauce. Very simple, it's mayo based. To that, I'm gonna add in some of my Thai sweet chili sauce. Now this should always be in your refrigerator or in your pantry. I find I love it because when I order out Chinese takeout, those packets aren't enough, and I love to dip my egg rolls in this. So right into my bowl, that sweet Thai chili sauce. I'm gonna add into that some sriracha, coming through with some heat. And then just a little sweet from honey. And try to do some local honey if you can. It's good for you. And then just whisk away. You know, if you're wondering where did all of this pop pop, as I call it, or bam bam, as Jeff calls it, sauce came from, people were going to like a fast casual restaurant that served with shrimp, became so huge. Obviously, you come home and you want to make it at home. Now you can definitely, like I said, buy it in the jar, or you can make it very simply here, just 4 ingredients: the mayo, the Thai chili sauce, sriracha, and a little bit of honey. All right, so that is done. Let's check on this cauliflower that I already had kind of hanging out. All right, this is what it's gonna look like. After about 30 to 40 minutes, you'll know when you stick a fork in the top and it's fork tender as we speak of. Bring this out here. Look at that. Now, I could eat this entire head of cauliflower. So this recipe for the sauce is actually for 2. And you can serve some sauce on the side if you like. And I like to get in here, turn it over, and kind of attack it from the center, right? So if you look at it, you can just say to yourself, well, look at the florets. If I hold my finger here and I just slice down and around, everything's gonna come apart. There you go. All right, so into the bowl. Yeah, can you imagine me eating an entire head of cauliflower? Sometimes I catch myself mid-meal and I say, I'm healthier than I sell. All right, over the top. Just a little bit. Doesn't take much. And then just kind of give it a nice little bowl toss. Get it into our serving bowl here. A very easy side. I like to finish it with some chopped scallions. I feel like you can never have enough, never too many chopped scallions. And then, just for edification, a nice little bright spritz after it sat in that grill. Now you can do this in your oven as well at 400 degrees, but a nice spritz of that lemon juice. There you have it, my cauliflower with pop-pop sauce. Every barbecue is better with a burger. So I'm firing up the grates with an amped up burger to say, bye grill, bye. It's my spicy green goddess burger and it is delicious. All right, so this is 80-20 chuck. What we have here is just salt, pepper, and cumin. The way I mix this is with my less dominant hand in a mixing bowl. I kind of make pitchforks and just kind of fold it together, not squeezing and mixing like I saw growing up. Now, on my grill here at about 375 or 400, over the direct heat, I'm going to add my patties. Now, I make 4 out of 1.5 pounds. You make them whatever size you want, but I think they're nice and healthy if you're doing 1.5 pounds and 4 out of that. To these, I'm gonna add a luscious glaze that's very simple to make. And before I make that glaze, I wanna show you what I like to do with my buns. All right, get them over the indirect side of the grill, right over here, okay? They'll get nice and toasty and warm while our burgers are cooking. So for the glaze that's gonna go on top of the burgers, it's a jalapeno glaze. It's gonna start with jalapeno jelly. So you've already got that spicy jalapeno flavor in there, but a little bit of sweet, so it's gonna remind you of barbecue. Into this, and it's my Green Goddess burger. So it's gonna be everything that you get from Green Goddess flavors, which is gonna be a lot of herby moments. That's gonna be some mint. So to that, some parsley, some cilantro, some dill. And this is just some scallions, white and green parts. I like to kind of chop it in half and then put it next to each other before I run it through that blade mill of our knife right there. All right, and then just get this right into our bowl. So remember, we've got the jalapeno jelly and all of that Green Goddess love, cilantro, mint, dill, parsley, and then just stir in the scallions. I like to come in with a nice pinch of salt and then hit it with some black pepper. And this is what's gonna go on top of the burger while it's on the grill. So I'm gonna show you. Okay, now let me explain to you. You don't press the burgers down, okay? Because they are friends with the grill, but you don't want them to be friends with the grill. All that fat just gonna seep through if you press them. Plus, just flip once. And if you're having trouble flipping, it means the meat's not ready to be flipped. So it should come off pretty easy for you. So I'm going to flip to the indirect side. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Now, you can always do a quick check on your burger. It's not looking good, it's not looking dark enough for you. I'll just turn it back over and you're gonna get those hash marks right there. And let me cover it up with our luscious jalapeno glaze. Remember, just the jalapeno jelly, some jalapenos, and all those herbs that you find in a green goddess salad dressing, plus some scallions. Now, this is over the direct heat again, because I want a little bit of a red-pink moment on the inside, okay? Close this up, and I'm gonna show you about the other green we're gonna put into our burger situation here, avocado. All right, I love avocado in a burger. I used to slice it, and that's a rookie move. You take a bite and the slices just go everywhere. But if you decide to mash it and smear it into the bun, kind of like mayo or something like that, man, every single bite is gonna get that avocado love. Now look at that. How do we know it's beautiful? In the grocery store, you look at that little nub right there. You pop that nub off. First of all, it should pop off easily. You look beneath that nub, it's a beautiful green color. It's gonna be like that on the inside. I also like to just squeeze all of the avocado flesh out. It helps me kind of squeeze, and plus then I don't do that thing where you have to whack into the actual seed and then, you know, maybe cut yourself. I see a lot of avocado cuts happening during the summertime. So that's a quick little hack for you. Just squeeze it out. It comes right out. Look at that. All right, now, we've got flavor, salt and pepper, all that good stuff going throughout. You want to flavor every single layer. So this is going to go on the top bun. A little bit of salt never hurt. Some black pepper. Remember, the burger's got salt, pepper, and cumin. I love putting cumin in a burger patty. It just tastes like meat more. See, very simple. Just some avocado, salt, and pepper. So this is gonna go on the top of the burger, on the bun. And speaking of the buns, let's check these buns. Now, I always make sure I aluminum foil and put them over the direct or indirect heat. You know, it only takes them about 10 to 15 minutes to fully get nice and warm on the inside. Look at those burgers! What? Okay, so we're gonna hook you up with the top bun first. Look at that. Brioche buns, nice and cushy and buttery, nice and warm, oof, and ready to get that schmear, oh, toasty, of avocado. Just melts right in. So I've got some pepper jack cheese here. I'll put that right on the bottom. You can do American if you like, but I think we've already got that jalapeno jelly going, and if you can handle the heat, why not? I mean, come on. And I'm gonna show you about that texture in a second. Oh, come on, come on. Really, is it a cookout or a barbecue without burgers? Look at these beautiful, beautiful patties. All right, I'm gonna get this as it's fresh off the grill so it can start to melt into that cheese. You see how the architect knows what's going on here. Cheese on the bottom. Cheese on the bottom. Plus, it's gonna be a nice barrier to the bun because it's so cushy. You don't want it to get soggy down there, and that cheese is gonna really help you out.
Little Bobby Flay action.
Oh, she.
A little Bobby Flay potato chip action on top of that burger.
Oh, man.
Sonny, you love Bobby.
I do love Bobby. I do love Bobby. He's my at-work husband, even though I barely get to work with him. There we go. Right. Good juiciness. Doesn't get lost in the sauce, but so good. All of those fresh herbs are coming through, but it's the crunch for me. Jalapeno potato chips, pepper jack cheese. You see how juicy it is? Come on now.
Hot chicken wings.
I was working as a radio host here in New York. I had my catering business. Someone that worked for Emeril Lagasse's staff. He said he'd like for me to come on Emeril Live.
I'm really happy to have a guest tonight that is not only a talented hip-hop DJ, but she's a caterer to some of the biggest hip-hop stars around.
They told me he'll decide if you're going to go on to the stage and cook with him or if you're gonna stay in one of those cool seats, you know, where you just get fed. So I was sitting there enjoying the show, and he said to me,
So you want to come on up and...
I'd love to.
Come on.
Can I?
Come on.
And there I was, standing on stage with Emeril, making my hot chicken wings. That was the first time that I'd ever realized that I might want to do food and television together. It's all your fault, Emeril.
Figured out she can handle it.
Those wings got me in the door. And it's so simple. But sometimes it's the simplest things that are the best thing you've ever made in your life. So here we go. First things first, the dredge. So I'm just putting in some flour, salt, pepper, and then a little bit of heat because these are my spicy wings. A little bit of cayenne. All right, now I'm gonna put it right into my paper bag. This is my trick too. Paper bag is best. Why? I don't know, something about how it kicks back the flour and doesn't allow it to gum up on the sides really, really helps. And it's great for even coating. These are just the chicken wings that I went ahead and separated. Took the tips off, put them in there. Shake them up like the cars. Shake, shake, shake. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Shake it high, shake it low. All right. And then you let it sit out for a minute so the flour soaks into the chicken. Now that's gonna help it not only stay nice and crunchy, but it's gonna help make sure that your oil is not all dirty with flour. If you just give it like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, half an hour, it's a good time now to make my hot sauce. It's just gonna be your hot sauce. Frank's Red Hot, nice and sweet, a little bit of kick. Some butter, put that right in. Come on now. Gonna add in a little bit of salt, dried basil. You can do oregano or thyme. Something that immediately gives off its flavor and its scent. Crack in some black pepper. Gotta cut the butter with something, so you need a little bit of lemon juice. But first, a little bit of lemon zest. And then squeeze away. All right, so ready to fry? Let's do it. The oil has to be the right temperature, which is starting higher than 350, so you settle at 350. I say don't go past 13 minutes to fry them, unless you have like Jurassic Park wings. And then once you get those chicken wings straight from the 350-degree oil, then wings right into the sauce. Give them a nice little toss. Home looking good. You gotta love my hot wings. Hope you do. Oh, hey, I'm Sunny Anderson hanging out after the kitchen, in the kitchen. And like I like to say, it's just me, you, and the crew, all right? So today we're gonna talk about spinach artichoke dip. It's a go-to restaurant appetizer. You can recreate this ooey gooey starter with very few ingredients and even add a little kick. This is my spicy 5-ingredient spinach artichoke dip. Let's get started. So I've already got my 5 ingredients out and my oven is preheated to 375 degrees. Now, 5 ingredients: spinach, artichokes, whipped cream cheese with chives, sour cream, and shredded pepper jack cheese, okay? That's all we need to make this dish. I've got my pan. I'm gonna turn it on and get it ready to go, because we're gonna saute some of this baby spinach. We've got a nice jar here of my artichoke hearts. I've got them marinated in oil, because it's, you know, when you're doing 5 ingredients, you really need each ingredient to come with more than just one flavor profile if you can. It needs to come in and pack a punch. So if you can see right here, all that flavor that's going on in here, I'm just gonna drain it out. And I'm gonna maximize my ingredients. That flavorful marinade that's in there, I'm gonna use some of that to cook my spinach. So about 3 tablespoons. I know I'm holding on to my measure, but about 3 tablespoons. And then I've got a big old, what we like to call in the business, the clam shell of love. It's baby spinach. You get more than you think that you're gonna need. Same thing with mushrooms, because it cooks down really, really fast. And what I like to do is just kind of get it in batches, because then you can kind of work it around and make sure everything hits that heat and starts to wilt for you. And you'll start to see it get really, really, really bright, you know, just kind of like as if you're blanching it. And then all of a sudden it starts to wilt. You got a little bit more room. As soon as you start seeing some space in the pan, you can start adding some more. Now, also smart to hit it with a little bit of salt. That doesn't count in the ingredient count. Salt and pepper and usually like the fat, you know, if it's like olive oil or something. But I decided not to use olive oil. I mean, we've got the oil in there that's marinating the artichoke hearts. When I was growing up, my mom used to always have these soirees at the house, and she wouldn't make like artichoke dip. She would just get like the real raw artichoke, slice it in half, broil it, deliciousness. All right, more in. See, we're so healthy. We're gonna eat all the spinach. All right, so I'm gonna move this around. A little bit more salt helps wilt it down. Plus, we like to season every layer. I used to go crazy in the produce section, making sure everything is like pre-washed. I'm like reading those labels like crazy, so make sure you read the label. All right, so we've got our artichoke hearts while we're waiting on everything to wilt down there. I'm just gonna give them a nice chop. Just come in and be random. Gonna mix it all in together with the other ingredients, our cream cheese, a little shredded pepper jack. And I do that because you know, like I said, few ingredients, they gotta come through with a flavor profile. Boom. All right, so I'm gonna get these into my bowl. Coincidentally, if you didn't know, artichokes, super delicious and tasty, but the center of an artichoke is called the heart. It's the meaty center. It has like a rich, deep taste. All right, so now look at our spinach. It's getting to the point where we don't want it to burn or get dark brown and oxidize. And every once in a while, I'll even chop it down a little bit, but this is baby spinach, so. Right into the bowl with those artichokes. Get that in there. I'm gonna add 8 ounces of whipped chive cream cheese. I used to use, you know, regular cream cheese, but whipped cream cheese is just what it sounds like. They've aerated it, so it's a lot softer, and you don't have to do that whole defrosting thing and leave it on the counter so it becomes pliable. It just comes right out and ready to mix into your recipes. All right, a little bit of sour cream. A 1/4 cup of sour cream is going in. And then our final ingredient, which is 8 ounces of pre-shredded pepper jack cheese. Got a little bit of fire in there from the pimento. Just come in and just mix it all up. Hit it with a little bit of pepper if you feel like it. I'm starting to smell the artichokes. Now remember, the oven is at 375 degrees. This is gonna take around 20 minutes. So 375 is what I've got the oven at. I've got my little serving dishes here. Now you can use an 8x8, you can do ramekins. This all just depends on the party you're throwing, you know what I'm saying? You can double this and make a big old 9x11. I'm gonna clean that up. But this gets in. Try and be even. And then I'm just gonna use a spoon to level off everything. It's okay if some of that hangs over the edge because, you know, when it comes to the table at the restaurant, it's like bubbling and a couple of pieces of cheese are like burnt. That's the good stuff, you know what I'm saying? All right, remember the pepper jack cheese? It's getting double usage here. A little over the top. It's about 4 ounces. And I always say to myself, you know, an ounce is like a slice. So it's like 4 slices of cheese, no big deal. NBD. Okay, 375 in the oven till it starts to get nice and bubbly around the edge. If you feel like it's not golden brown at the top, you can also throw the broiler on for a few minutes to get that curb appeal that you want. Getting it in the oven. Meet me back here when your dip is ready. Ooh, it's piping hot. You know when they bring it to the table and they're like, don't touch it, it's really, really hot. It's like, we know that. I wanna burn the roof of my mouth with this stuff. All right, I love serving this with tortilla chips, just like at the restaurant. If you want, you can put your tortilla chips in the oven on warm. That's anywhere from 150 to 200 for like 5 to 10 minutes. Just when you start seeing them glisten and the oils are coming to life on the inside. Let me dig up in here. Ooh, I like it when the chip breaks. It lets you know it is talking business in there. Look at that. Piping hot goodness. You know, I'm gonna burn my roof in my mouth. I don't care. 5 ingredients. It gets no simpler, so you can make this warm, creamy, and full of melty, cheesy goodness. Definitely one of the most satisfying appetizers around, in my book at least. This is my 5-ingredient spicy spinach artichoke dip. Hope you enjoy.
So when I'm thinking comfort food, it has to be my spicy macaroni and cheese. I mean, I worked really hard on this recipe for years. And then as soon as I got it, I felt like Wonder Woman, Superwoman, Wonder Twins activate. You know, I felt like a rock star at that moment. So the reason I came up with my spicy macaroni and cheese recipe is because my mom, my own mom, would not give me hers. She's very territorial. I asked for it, and she gave me some words on a paper, but it wasn't her recipe. And you cooks know who you are. Oh, here's the stuff, here's how you make it. And there's totally ingredients left off. She's so hating on my mac and cheese game. I said, forget it, I gotta do my own. And now, my spicy macaroni and cheese recipe, definitely, and I'm saying it, rivals my mom's. Definitely. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is get my macaroni into a pot of roiling, boiling water. And we wanna make these al dente. So make sure that the macaroni is not like super smushy when you get it out. It should have a little bit of a bite to the tooth to it because we're gonna bake it as well as boil it. So it needs to really stand up to 2 cooking processes. Then you can build up the custard. It's really easy. You first start with a little bit of flour, a little bit of ground mustard. You might say to yourself, what's the ground mustard doing there? You'll find this a lot in the South in custards. There's just a zip about it, and it's really creamy as well. It's just perfect for spicy macaroni and cheese. And then you've got the salt and pepper, cayenne pepper, a lot of nice heat. Another item that, trust me, you've heard about it, people say it, oh, it's that one thing you put into something and people try to figure out what is it. It's nutmeg. I say about 10 to 15 scrapes if it's fresh. If it's ground, just a really tiny pinch, or like 1/8 of a teaspoon, okay? And then get the sour cream. Of course, it's gonna add a little bit of creaminess, but mostly for the zip. Whisk it up. It's time to add my egg. This is a binding ingredient. It's gonna hold it all together. A little bit of half and half, and then I use heavy cream as well. It's mac and cheese, it's comfort food, come on. Another secret ingredient in my mac and cheese is a little bit of onion pulp, fresh. Don't use the onion powder. And get ready to grate it. Oh, I need a grater. What's up, doppelganger? Take this. Thanks, girl. So what you get is kind of like the flavor, not the texture of the onion. And then, of course, it's macaroni and cheese, baby. So it's the cheddar, the Colby, and the Monterey Jack. Now, pepper jack, very important in this recipe because it's my spicy mac and cheese. And so you can see in here, it's got little pimentos and little jalapeno pieces in there, kind of add to the heat. The reason why I use my 3 cheeses is because that's my mom's cheese blend. They work very well together, they melt together, they're BFFs in that casserole. It's ready to go into the ramekins. Now I like to just top these off with a nice extra sprinkle of some shredded cheddar. And then, of course, what makes it the curb appeal of my mom's macaroni and cheese are the boulders, AKA the croutons, because we want real crunch, and they're homemade, which makes it even better. Very simple to do these at home. Just a little bit of butter down, some garlic, salt, because this is unsalted butter. Break out that loaf of bread, cube it up. They're gonna soak up the butter first and then start to toast in it. And throw the boulders on the mac and cheese. That's what does it for me. Back into the oven, just so they can kind of hang out with the cheese a little bit. When it comes out of the oven, you know, it's bubbling on the sides. It's creamy and it's got a little bit of tang as well. It's just perfection. You've got the mounds of the croutons. Can you hear the crunch? Can you hear it? What really works here is that low hum of heat. The cayenne pepper's in there. Pepper jack, look at this. Look at that. The grated onion just permeates the whole dish. It's crazy. I started a catering company off of it. You know, I mean, I've gotten many boyfriends from it. It's comforting,
You want to sit on the couch?
Take my feet up and everything.
Just gotta try it. This is my spicy chicken sandwich. Thank you, thank you. I've already dropped some, I'm gonna show you how to do it. So, Jeezy, I want you to make what is the marinade and will also become part of the dredge at the end, okay? So that's buttermilk, some hot sauce, and you know my favorite ingredient, hot Hungarian paprika. Whisk it all together.
Yes, ma'am.
I've got my chicken breast here. Now, first secret here is there's so many nooks and crannies and craggles in that chicken breast, and I would argue it's the biggest chicken breast I've ever seen at a fast food location.
It's big.
So the way we create that
It's
love.
a real breast, the whole breast?
It's a whole breast, GZ. It's crazy. You take some kitchen shears, you take your chicken breast, and just kind of give it some personality.
Now, I've never heard of that
Cut
technique.
some cuts in there because we want some of that breading and the batter to get in there and create some nice craggles, I like to call them.
Yeah, for sure.
So just create moments that can happen that are gonna give you some craggles. Now, don't go too far, and you don't have to go all the way through. So look, you see what I've done here? Just about 6 or 7 cuts, you know, maybe 8 around it. Create those little nooks and crannies.
Scientific.
Right into our batter or our marinade. It's gonna become a batter in a minute. Now, you refrigerate this overnight or leave it on your countertop for 2 hours, okay? If you do refrigerate this, make sure before you go to fry it that you put it on the countertop for 2 hours so it gets room temp.
Okay.
All right?
And I bet the cutting of it, too, helps it cook more evenly because that one end is so plump and then you have the tapered end, so it kind of
Exactly. It
matches up.
allows some of that oil to get in there and bring it to the right temperature. That's right, Jeff. You know what's up.
I know. It's
All right.
science.
So, these are the marinated chicken breasts. Taking them out of the marinade, that's just, remember, buttermilk, hot sauce, and the hot Hungarian paprika. And a lot of people have been to the fast food place. This looks really familiar because when you bite into their fried chicken, there's that pink layer of seasoned
so
love.
that's what it is.
All right, so look what's happening here. This is going into a bowl of flour.
Oh.
And then added to that, we're gonna do some baking powder, some cornstarch, and a little bit of water, only if needed. So start, you know, giving this a nice little whisk. And if it's a pancake consistency, leave it. If you need a little bit more water to loosen it, then you're gonna add that in. And I would say we probably need a little bit more water. It all depends how much of your marinade is left over. And just patting these dry, okay? Getting as much off as we can. And then a little bit more water.
Yes,
just
chef.
a little bit more.
It's all about the pickle, in my opinion.
A little bit more.
The pickle.
The
Because
pickle-
the pickle with the fried,
I also think the
and then
bun.
the bun.
Yeah.
And I would argue that this pickle at this establishment, oh, look at that. So the pickle at this
Wow.
establishment is just not even a typical pickle.
No.
It's a little bit thicker and has a little bit more chew to it.
So it's your atypical pickle?
It's the atypical pickle. All right, so I'm just gonna get a nice internal on this.
160?
You see that right
Perfection.
there?
Perfection.
159. It's good to take it out right now because that carryover temperature and cooking is gonna get it to that 160, 165. Now, I like to kind of keep this on crumpled up paper instead of flat. Yeah, Jeezy.
Yeah.
Hit it with a little bit of salt right as it comes
Right
out.
there.
And then I'm just gonna show you how to dredge and get these in. All right, so chicken breasts, dried off. They're wet. So I'm gonna go into some flour.
This is like lunacy, right?
Yeah.
In a good way.
This
Look
is
at
creating the craggles. You need the
Craggle.
crunchy, you need the craggle crunch, you
This
need all
is
of
as
that.
close as Jeffrey's ever getting to a fast food restaurant.
Right? Into,
No, I saw him at one in the drive-thru last night in Jersey. He was
He
wearing
does it in secret.
Yeah.
into our batter,
Just like that? You
just
fry
like
it?
that. Back into the flour.
Oh, you're doing
Back
a
in
crusty
the triple.
Ah,
Triple
double
apple
it up.
taste.
Flour.
This
These are
is-
the tricks. These are the tricks the restaurants, the fast food places are doing.
But it's nice to see. I mean, if you're gonna have food, make it good food. That's
Exactly.
Fast, not
And
just
right
fast.
into the oil. That's peanut oil. You can also do a vegetable oil if you like, and that'll work. So I'll put one together for you. It's not gonna be too bad. You do want it kind of like right when you got it. You know what I'm saying? So we've got the buns. They are buttered.
That's what I'm
brioche
talking
buns,
about.
all right?
Buttered and toasted.
What's the mayo?
So the mayo is very simple. It's just some mayonnaise and a little bit of that sauce from the chipotle and adobo in that little tiny can. You only need to scoop out like a little bit, like a teaspoon, for half a cup of mayo. You don't want to blow your lid off. So
I love mayonnaise. I mean,
Jeff?
to me, it's like a mayonnaise on a fried chicken sandwich.
It's really the only thing. There's certain things I'll eat mayonnaise on. One's like a club sandwich, like crispy bacon and iceberg, and others a fried chicken sandwich. Otherwise, I need to have like flavoring in it.
all right, now I always ask for extra pickles. So
Me
I'm just gonna give you, yes, I'll give you 4.
Yes.
1 per quadrant.
You know, the other good thing about when you are at the fast food and you ask for extra pickles, then they make it fresh.
Yes, they do. That
It's
is
not sitting there
that
in
is
the
a
lineup.
no.
That's a
always.
trick. Look at that, right on top.
Look at that.
A little bit more.
I mean, that's for like 2 people, no?
No, that's one person. And
Not possible.
we didn't even drive away. We sat in the parking lot and ate that
But that's
sandwich
so much
both
food.
times. Like, we are not taking that baby home.
Jeffrey, have we met?
Now, then,
Yes.
you gotta, just like the place, you gotta get it into a pouch. Then I'm gonna close it
I'm
up and
feeling
give it
this.
to you.
I'm feeling it.
And that kind of
you go.
steams
Love
up the
it.
bun
That
and everything.
steams up the bun, keeps everything
You
nice and
give me a
warm.
napkin. I'm gonna need it.
You need
Yeah,
a
give
chicken
her a
bit for
napkin.
this.
This is you gotta put your
Yeah, you
hair
need
back. Yeah.
Here, can I help you with this one?
Yeah, you can help me with that one, get that out. And
It's
there you
not out.
have it.
It's
It's
not
my
ready yet,
spicy
right?
chicken sandwich, y'all. Forget waiting.
I mean, look at that
That's
thing
it.
of
You got the
beauty.
thick
Here
end
we
and
go.
the tapered end.
You got the thick and the tapered, crunchy goodness.
Funny.
Is it close?
It's better.
What?
It's so crunchy and juicy on the inside. It's perfectly cooked. And the pickles, and I'm telling you, that soft, buttered, toasted bun, it's toasted to perfection. This is a real thing of beauty here.